there is a new candidate for governor in the race, somebody who is running with a whole bunch of private sector experience and a little public sector experience as one of the top officials in the Governor Tony Evers administration during the first term. His name is Joel Brennan. He's president of the Greater Milwaukee Committee, and he joins us this morning. Joel Brennan, good morning.
Hi, Pat. How you doing?
Very good, thanks. Welcome to the race. It's there's plenty of room. Jump on in here.
Pat, I have 10 brothers and sisters, and so I know what it's like to try to elbow your way in at a crowded table. So I'm familiar.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yes, that sounds good. Tony on YouTube says, "Is anyone else on the verge of announcing? And is their name Pat Kreitlow?" No, Tony. No, there are at least 7 people who are more qualified than I am, and this guy is one of them. We've talked to some of the other 6, and we will throughout the course of the primary between now and August. But Joel is the newest entrant. So Joel, apart from the 10 siblings, tell us more about your story and how you came to be a candidate for governor.
Sure. Well, my story is really a Wisconsin story. My parents, my dad was born in 1927 to a single mom in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. My mother was born actually this day in 1928 in Milwaukee, grew up in Milwaukee and East Troy. And my dad had a half brother. My mom was an only child. They met after my dad was in the service and went to school. And one of my older siblings died. They had a child who died of childhood cancer at about a year. And so I grew up with 10 siblings, and we didn't have a lot growing up. My dad was involved in public relations and media and even some political stuff when I was growing up, but he didn't do a lot of things that were very lucrative. So we didn't have a lot, and we all found a way, mainly through education. I worked my way through Marquette University, and over the last 35 years, I've had positions in and around public policy, really been a student of public policy that whole time. I was the head of Wisconsin's largest science museum, Discovery World, for about 11 years in Milwaukee. In 2018, when Tony Evers was elected governor, he asked me to serve as the secretary of the Department of Administration, which is the highest cabinet appointment in the state. And I did that and was proud to serve with him for 3 years. Did things like trying to restore some of the things we had lost under Scott Walker and the right-wing legislature. At the time that I left after 3 years, we had a surplus of about $4 billion, a rainy day fund that had gone from a couple $100 million to nearly $1.7 billion. And it was a time that I was really proud of. We also, during that time, had to deal with COVID and all the COVID relief dollars and getting resources out to families and farmers and small businesses in Wisconsin that absolutely needed it. So it was some of the most gratifying work of my life. And then about 4 years ago, just as Tony was heading into the re-election cycle, I left that job to come back to Milwaukee and run the Greater Milwaukee Committee, which is an organization, it's a membership organization that's about civic affairs and how do we bring together people from the civic community, the nonprofit community, higher ed, and work on the issues that are most important to southeastern Wisconsin. I've been proud to do that. It's a wonderful job, but at some point, you've got to either be satisfied with the way things are, or you stand up and get in the game. And people are angry and disappointed and frustrated in Wisconsin. You see that candidates, and I think the executive experience that I've had over the last 25 years, the experience I had in the Evers administration, suits me well to be somebody who could not only fight, and we all have to fight, but get something done. We're all angry at this point, and sometimes when people get angry, they want to get even. When I get angry, maybe because of the way I grew up and who I am, I want to roll up my sleeves and get something done. So that's part of the reason why I'm inspired to run for this job.
Well, that, getting something done would be, remarkable in the state capitol these days, given what's going on. But when you first came to it and you were nominated to be Governor Evers' Secretary of Administration, you were one of the few cabinet members unanimously confirmed by Senate Republicans, people pointing to your private sector experience. Now, again, I'm not saying that there's going to be bipartisan love now that you've announced that candidate for governor, but you've got that track record that you think is going to bring people together. Tell me more about your lane of the campaign, I guess is the way I'd put it. We've got a state representative, we've got a county executive, we've got a former lieutenant governor, we've got the former head of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, all in this race, and the current lieutenant governor. So when Democratic voters for the primary are looking at this whole field, what is it they see in you? It's not going to be on the issues. I doubt that there's a lot of space on the issues here. So what is it that they're seeing in you in terms of both electability but then also what kind of a governor you would be.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And by the way, like I know all the other candidates. We're all friends, and I respect them. I worked with a lot of them during the Evers administration, and so I think if there's I actually sometimes while political people are going to do this, I bristle a little bit at somebody saying, "Hey, what's your lane?" Because I think when we reduce people to an ideological or geographical or demographic lane, we're kind of reducing the opportunities. I'm a proud Wisconsin pragmatist. The thing I'm going to lean into is I have had over the last 25 years a succession of executive experiences. And I think executive experiences are different than being in the legislature. They're different than some of the other experiences that people might bring to the job. And it truly is about making those executive decisions. Now, there's none of us who can lay claim to having been governor before. And you only understand and know once you get the job. But the opportunity that I had at the Department of Administration, and you're aware of what DOA does, sometimes they call it the Department of All, mainly because it has the ability there. It really is the one place where you work across the enterprise. So whether it's the state budget, procurement, information technology, all the real estate that gets done, the things like all the human resources across 35,000 people in the in-state government. I had the ability to work on all of those things and work arm in arm with the governor on things like how could we kind of bring the state back and start to respect working people after 8 years of Scott Walker and a right-wing legislature. And I think we had some success with that. And I think one of the things that'll be different for the next governor is with the fair maps that we have now and the opportunities that are there in the legislature, we truly have an opportunity to have a Democratic majority in either one or both houses of the legislature. And that will afford us the chance to do something that is more on the offensive than we were able to do under Governor Evers. He has done a terrific job with the deck stacked against him. People sometimes they think about the gerrymandering that's happening now or what Donald Trump is doing at the federal level. Just as you left the legislature, that's what the Republicans did in Wisconsin. And that's been the case for the last 15 years. We finally have a chance with fair maps to kind of play on a level playing field. And so I think there's opportunities we have in areas like healthcare, in childcare, in K-12 education, in reinvesting or investing again in the higher ed system in Wisconsin, which has always been the envy of the state and the envy of other places across the country, and we have disinvested in it. So I think there's opportunities there now, and that's what I'm going to be leaning into as I go around the state and talk to people. I also, I'd like to think that the upbringing that I had and kind of worked 4 or 5 jobs to get myself through college, a series of the experiences that I have and the breadth of those experiences, those are the types of things I think that I'm going to try to appeal to people on. And I want to, if I've invested anything in the 35-year career that I have, whether it's people in the Chippewa Valley or in southeastern Wisconsin or the Fox Valley, it's in relationships and the depth of those relationships. And that's what I'm going to try to do when I go around the state and talk and listen to people.
Joel Brennan is a candidate for governor. His website is brennanforwi.com. Brennan is BRENNAN, FORWI.com. And then, of course, all the social media sites that will be going up as well. And just in the time we have left here, just a couple minutes to talk about, obviously, the midterms. That's when Wisconsin holds its gubernatorial elections. It's also a referendum on the president. You've worked with a lot of Republicans. I've worked with a lot of Republicans. Say it out loud. There are a lot of Republicans not really happy with Donald Trump. Do you feel that, again, not to oversimplify things, but do you feel like you have more of an in there than maybe some of the other Democratic candidates do?
I don't know. I think my opportunity is that there is frustration and anger regardless of party right now, and regardless of where people are on the ideological spectrum. People are hurting. Within the next few weeks, you're going to have 200,000 plus people in Wisconsin who are going to lose their health care. Tens of thousands more who are looking at doubling or tripling their premiums. We just, this year in 2025, we're going to have the first-time home buyers now. The average age is 40 years old. 5 years ago, it was 33 years old. In the Chippewa Valley, we're creating a society where we're all renters, where people can't be kind of getting a dream by being able to be homeowners and build wealth. And we've got Donald Trump running around the country saying that affordability is a Democratic hoax. He wants us to believe it's the abominable snowman. It's the wolf at the door for thousands of Wisconsin residents. And we need to be able to articulate that, but also articulate a vision for where we're going. So that's what I'm going to do. But the opportunity, I think, in Wisconsin is that it's not just along ideological lines anymore. Everybody's frustrated, but they want to know who's going to roll up their sleeves and do something about it. And I've got a career and a track record of doing that.
And you can learn more about it at Brennan4WI.com. Joel Brennan is the newest entry this morning as a candidate for governor for the state of Wisconsin in 2026. Joel, thanks for stopping in, letting the audience get a chance to meet with you. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
I look forward to it, Pat. Thanks for having me today.